Breaking news for all Microsoft investors, and this is only appropriate after I did my video recently where I actually showed you my 1-year history update of dividends received from holding Microsoft stock. Microsoft has now announced that it is permanently shutting its doors of all physical locations all over the world. If you haven't seen that video yet where I do show my dividend history from Microsoft, then I'll link that down below in the description, but don't go there until you're done watching this video. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the recent developments as well as what this means for investors in Microsoft. And you may not even think you're invested in Microsoft, but you might be invested in an index fund, or maybe you're putting money into a 401k that does have a lot of holdings of Microsoft. So in essence, this affects a lot of people and you might not even know it. So Microsoft has announced that it's closing all of its physical stores across the world. Now it did say that it will, quote, reimagine its flagships in London, New York City, Sydney, and its Redmond campus location as Microsoft Experience Centers that do not sell products, but Microsoft's 80-plus standard retail units will close. The London store only opened just about a year ago. Now if you're a Microsoft employee in a retail location, there is good news for you. No layoffs are being planned. The company said that its retail staff will work from Microsoft's corporate facilities to provide sales remotely, as well as training and support. So the closures are going to result in a $450 million charge that includes asset write-offs as well as impairments. Microsoft did insist that it will continue to invest in its digital stores on Microsoft.com, as well as Xbox and Windows, which the company has said reach more than 1.2 billion people every month in 190 markets. According to Microsoft Corporate Vice President David Porter, he said, quote, our sales have grown online as our product portfolio has evolved to largely digital offerings, and our talented team has proven success serving customers beyond any physical location. We are grateful to our Microsoft Store and customers, and we look forward to continuing to serve them online with our retail sales team at Microsoft corporate locations. Microsoft indefinitely closed all of its stores back in March due to Rona, and it actually did plan to close all of its physical locations sometime in 2021, but the pandemic actually ended up accelerating its plans. These closures just come months ahead of the planned launch of the new Xbox Series X, and Microsoft has used its stores to showcase its devices, including Xbox consoles. The Xbox Series X is launching this holiday, so it makes sense that the company had at least initially planned for the stores to make it that far. And the dual-screen Surface Neo device that was also going to ship during the holidays has now been delayed, but it is on track, apparently still for this year. So if you're hoping that your local Microsoft store would be a surefire bet to get a new Xbox, you'd have to look elsewhere. Now, many Microsoft stores are in shopping centers and malls, so it doesn't stand out as unusual that many of them do remain closed. Most malls do remain closed in an effort to avoid new cases of Rona, even though we are actually still seeing a resurgence of cases even with these precautions being taken. Apple had to reclose a lot of stores where they just said that customers could be welcomed back in. The idea of the Microsoft Store is nothing ancient. It just debuted in 2009 and it closely adhered to Apple's successful retail playbook. Each store is a showcase for the company's Surface and Xbox hardware, plus a section of third-party PCs. Employees were well versed in all things Windows, and the company also provided in-store events, workshops, customer service, and repairs. The stores were closed even before Microsoft's latest hardware release cycle that included the Surface Book 3, Surface Go 2, Surface Earbuds, and Surface Headphones 2. And the company has continued to provide regular pay for team members through the pandemic. And this big decision does partially explain why Microsoft had yet to reopen a single store after they were all closed in light of the pandemic. Last week, Microsoft did say that its, quote, approach for reopening Microsoft Store locations is measured and cautious, guided by monitoring global data, listening to public health and safety experts, and tracking local government restrictions. So if you are holding Microsoft stock or an index fund that holds Microsoft, how does this impact you? Well, from my perspective, I don't believe this will actually impact your investment. You don't have to sell all of your shares just yet. Don't be so trigger happy. It will impact the profit and revenue breakdown of how Microsoft makes its money, as now all of it is going to be translated through online sales. At the same time, this will also save Microsoft a lot of money from its retail locations. What could happen though is some future investors could be a bit hesitant to invest in Microsoft, but when they see that the revenue is just as strong and the company is just as much showing as much growth, then there won't be too much of a delay. And with Apple and Microsoft recently both hitting all-time highs, even through the second wave of the virus is becoming more apparent, it's evident that it does not matter that retail locations are closed for both of these companies. What we're seeing is a microcosm of how Microsoft could do its business in the long term. Apple and Microsoft are fueled by digital sales and services, and a lot of it is online. A lion's share of Microsoft and Apple's revenue is from digital and online products and services. These companies both remain trillion-dollar companies, with Apple now heading towards the $2 trillion mark. I would not be concerned whatsoever, and this only highlights and emphasizes both Apple and Microsoft's genius business models. I'm curious to hear from my fellow Microsoft shareholders, as I do hold quite a few dozen shares. I want to know how many shares you're holding, around what price did you get in on average, how many shares do you purchase a month, how many shares do you purchase a year, how long you've been holding Microsoft. Tell me down below your Microsoft details in the comments. But I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, be sure to give the video a big thumbs up. Just smash that like button. It'll just help with YouTube algorithm so more people can see videos just like this and understand why this will not have any impact to Microsoft stock. As if you are a fellow Microsoft shareholder, you don't want your stock to decline. So be sure you do click that like button for me. It will greatly benefit all of us. And if you'd like to see more videos from my channel, I post videos every single week covering business, finance, investing, entrepreneurship, mindset, strategy, and tips and tricks from my own experience. Be sure to do subscribe, hit that big red button. And if you'd like to be notified every single time I make it a video, so you're first line to see it before anyone else, then be sure to do click that little notification bell as well, so you're notified every single time I make it a video. See you in the next one.